that quality meal time and family time. And practice inner peace. Forgive and let go of issues. As much as possible, eat relaxed and not rushed. We don't absorb nutrients well if we're rushing. So we could put in those great organic foods and all the wonderful juicing and everything else, but if we don't allow our bodies to absorb it, we're not going to get the benefit from it. Our fruits and vegetables should be as colorful as possible, locally grown and organic. Minimize sugar, aspartame, sucralose. Sucralose is a polychlorinated hydrocarbon. It is a glucose molecule with 3 chlorines replacing the other hydrogens. In every other aspect of our lives, polychlorinated hydrocarbons are put into toxic waste dumps. I don't recommend you use that. Avoid refined wheat, processed foods, hydrogenated oils, and margarines. Minimize dairy products. I think raw milk is much healthier, and if you can have access to it, if you want to have milk, that's the only way I would recommend it. Avoid animal-based foods, at least proportionately, especially red meats, and choose free-range, organically fed animal sources. And junk food is indeed an oxymoron. There's no such thing as junk food. Be conscious when we're selecting food. The rainforests are being cut down to make room for the grazing of the animals that we are eating. And the 50% of the antibiotics are used to prevent infections because of the absolutely squalid conditions of those confinement areas. It is really atrocious. And I think there's a moral imperative to allow an animal to have a decent existence before it is brought to feed. So, yeah, we can get political about industrial emissions, and we can take our placards, and we can march, and we can protest, but I think that the real beginning and what we can really, really do is take care of our own home, to draw a circle around our own home, our own environment, and begin to take care of that in a safe, effective way. And it's huge. This was a survey done in Ohio. They looked at 3 things: hairsprays, deodorants, glass polish, and urinal cakes. And just those 4 things produced 100 tons a day of smog in Ohio. All right? So it's not a problem of them. It's something that we need to start taking our own responsibility of. Again, there's been lots of stuff in the resource guide about where to find ecologically safe paints. It needs to be updated. There are some new things I've recently come into contact with that are even better than what's there. Vinyl wallpapers will trap moisture and not only emit volatile chemicals, they also promote mold. Avoid the vinyl flooring. Hardwood floors are a great option. They have less allergy problems. Where you can, get recycled wood furniture and avoid the particle boards, those glued up things that are going to be emitting chemicals for many, many years. And you then be avoiding the foam as well. If you don't need the soft, cushy couches, the wood chairs are a nice option. Louvered doors on your closets allow the air to circulate, so there's less mold production inside the closets. Air out the house frequently whenever you can. You can get mattressing and bedding that is free of the flame retardants. Wool is naturally flame retardant. If you've got rips in your upholstery, make sure that they're covered well so that you're not releasing those the PDBs. Organic cotton is a great option. I keep getting criticized. I know it's expensive, but right now about 70% of the world's insecticide is being used on the cotton fields. Prior to World War II, we never had insecticide-sprayed cotton. We did just fine. And right now, lots of moms and dads are working in fields that are being sprayed with pesticides to make our clothes. So even if we don't switch 100% to all organic cotton clothing, if you will buy things once in a while organically, cotton, then little by little there'll be more of a market and we can begin to make a shift. HEPA filters will pick up a lot of that particulate dust, including the PDBE dust. For the kids, you want to use wooden toys rather than the plastic toys, and that have not been painted or painted with safe paints. Avoid all those plastic teethers, and for obvious reasons. It is said that 1, 2, 4, and 5 in the recycle triangles are safer, but they are not safe, so it's just relative. Avoid the plastic wraps that contain PVCs. There are non-PVC containing plastic wrap. I don't know if you know that, but when you buy your saran wrap type of stuff, there's a caution on there not to let it touch the food. Ever notice that? Just keep an inch between the food and the plastic wrap. Things like that. Stainless steel feeding utensils. Great alternative to the plastic. Non-breakable glass or steel drinking containers. I know there's no such thing as non-breakable glass, but there is less breakable glass. And if you're going to use plastic at all, don't put hot food into the plastic or fatty foods. So there is that smart plastics guy that you can look at. But right now we're producing 380 billion plastic bags per year. We recycle very, very little of that. That 380 billion plastic takes 16.3 billion gallons of oil to produce. That's a pretty tidy sum. There are other estimates that we're really using about 1 trillion plastic bags a year. So we're talking more like 50 billion gallons of oil to produce it. And just for a visual on what that is, 60,000 plastic bags we are producing every 5 seconds, which is partial zoom. This is what 60,000 bags every 5 seconds looks like. So that's pretty intense in our garbage dumps. So proportionality. Here's a woman walking out of the market, and the guy's yelling at her, it's illegal, and she says, what? The nicotine, alcohol, caffeine, aspartame, macrolamides, trans fats, cancer-causing food additives? No, just the plastic bag. Everything else is fine. So, you know, we don't want to choose just one evil and put things into proportion and choose our objects, decide what we can take care of today, what we can take care of tomorrow, and as weeks go by and time goes by and we become more comfortable with looking at some alternatives, we just green up our homes little by little. All right? It is impossible. No one will walk out of here and develop a green home on Monday, I promise you. But just take steps where you can, when you can. So what's the take-home message? Well, is there a relationship between the rising level of autism, ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and other neuropsychiatric problems, and the increasing level of neurotoxic and hormone-disrupting chemicals in our homes, our environment, and our food supply? I don't know. I can tell you there's an association. That does not prove causality. Just because there is a correlation between somebody living closer to pesticides and the level of pesticides being sprayed doesn't prove causality. But there is something in medicine called a precautionary principle. And that says that if we think there might be a problem, especially with regard to children, that we need to err on the side of caution. All right? And I think that that precautionary principle compels us, whether it's healers, advisors, protectors, or parents, to take a course of reasonable caution, just to shift a little bit and a little bit more. It's a Chinese proverb. It says unless we change the direction we are going, we are bound to end up where we are headed. And this is a train who is obviously going the wrong way and is headed to disaster. If not now, then when? This is a quote. It says, "This we know. The earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons of the earth. Man does not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself." This was Chief Seattle 150 years ago, in what was then known as the Washington Territory. So yeah, we talked about a lot of scary stuff. A lot of the things we're thinking about are scary. But there's a joke coming up, guys. I just think of it as like this first kiss. Remember when you were in school and you were putting your arm around the girl, or you were getting the arm put around you, and you were kind of both wanted to have that little kiss, but you were really scared about it. And then you kind of nosed up little by little, and once you got close enough, you just had it licked. I love that slide. That was my first girlfriend. And my second girlfriend, too, right behind her. All right, so this is a brief look at an old resource guide. When it was 1 page, it's now 4 pages. But just gives you some ideas where we're talking about that first section, skin deep. They were listing about 14,000 different substances, typical things in your house, your cosmetics. You could look up what you're currently using and get an idea of how safe it is, what's going on with that stuff. And if you find stuff that's not so bad, use it up. If the stuff that really looks like it's bad, well, here are some resources where you might go and look at other products, where you might get some alternatives. And by the way, I have, full disclosure, I have no financial interest in anything that goes on this resource guide. And in fact, any company that approaches me to get on the resource guide with a benefit to me is immediately removed from the resource guide. So this stuff is out there for no reason other than your benefit. Sources of non-toxic art supplies. Stainless steel water bottles used to be hard to find. Safer toys, chemical-free clothing, non-toxic paints. This concrete paint is in your garage. A lot of chemicals and oils will spill out there. It gets into the concrete, and it's released constantly for years because it's a porous surface. If you paint that floor with a non-absorbent paint, then it becomes easy to clean up. So this safe coat becomes a nice object for your garages. Lots of places to find information about alternative ways to take care of your lawns and your gardens. Much bigger area in there now. Some homemade things for insect control, weed control. This corn gluten is a weed preventive, so that the seeds don't sprout every year.